Ever wonder what happens when privilege and prejudice collide with talent and heritage? When wealthy socialite Caroline Whitmore publicly mocks the food at a charity event, she has no idea she's insulting Daniel Carter, a legendary chef with 13 Michelin stars who has returned to his roots. What follows is a powerful journey of confrontation, revelation, and transformation that will challenge everything Caroline believes about value, excellence, and respect. Will her public humiliation lead to genuine change? Or is it too late for redemption? Daniel Carter stood before the weathered storefront, its faded blue awning fluttering in the autumn breeze. At 63, his calloused fingers traced the outline of the building that once housed his mother's modest diner. "You sure about this, chef?" asked Marcus, his assistant of 15 years. Daniel nodded. "This is exactly where I need to be." For 3 decades, Daniel had commanded kitchens across the globe: Paris, Tokyo, New York, each stint adding another star to his constellation of achievements. Yet here he stood, in his forgotten hometown, ready to start again. "Mom always said cooking isn't about acclaim," Daniel murmured. "It's about feeding souls." Inside the nearly completed space, exposed brick walls showcased local artists' work. Tables crafted from reclaimed wood would seat families, not just elite diners. The kitchen, his domain, gleamed with equipment that had cost more than the building itself. "Sol Vos Spice," Daniel said, tasting the name of his new venture, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. That evening, Daniel thumbed through his mother's handwritten recipe cards, promising her memory that this restaurant would be his true legacy, not the stars or awards, but a table where everyone was welcome. Caroline Whitmore's stiletto heels clicked against Italian marble as she strode through Whitmore Tower. Employees averted their eyes as she passed, her reputation preceding her like a chill wind. At 39, Caroline had assumed her position as COO of Whitmore Holdings with calculating precision. Her father had built the real estate empire from nothing. Caroline maintained it with an iron grip. "Impress me," Caroline said to the waiting design team, "or don't waste my time." As presentations began, Caroline's mind drifted. Another building, another investment, another victory in a game she'd long since mastered. Yet satisfaction remained elusive. Caroline had everything money could buy, but genuine human warmth had always eluded her. She'd inherited her father's business acumen, but also his disdain for perceived weakness. Richard Whitmore had raised her to believe the world was divided into those who succeeded and those who made excuses. Her phone chimed with a message from the Millridge Arts Council chairwoman. Their annual gala needed a last-minute venue change. As a major donor, Caroline's attendance was expected. She finished her wine and moved to the windows that framed the city like an expensive painting. Somewhere below, millions lived messy, imperfect lives. Caroline observed them with detached curiosity, like specimens in a laboratory. The Millridge Community Center hummed with activity as volunteers transformed the modest space into something approaching elegance. In the kitchen, Daniel directed a team of culinary students with the same intensity he'd once commanded Michelin-starred brigades. "Remember, every plate tells a story," he instructed. "These aren't just recipes. Their heritage elevated." Daniel had volunteered to cater when the original venue flooded. The organizers had been skeptical, not realizing a culinary master stood before them. Daniel hadn't mentioned his credentials. He'd simply offered to help. Unlike his international restaurants, tonight he wore no identifying markers of status, no name, no stars, no insignia. Tonight, he was simply a chef serving his community. Across town, Caroline examined her reflection with critical eyes. Her dress, an understated Valentino, conveyed exactly the right message: wealth without ostentation, power without vulgarity. When she arrived, her lips thinned with distaste. The building lacked the grandeur she associated with events worthy of her time. As the evening progressed, Caroline found herself discomforted by the democratic mingling that violated her sense of proper social hierarchy. When dinner was served, Caroline studied her plate. Short ribs, perfectly glazed. Collard greens, reimagined as a delicate tranche. Cornbread transformed into an airy souffle. She took a tentative bite, prepared to be underwhelmed. Instead, complex flavors bloomed across her palate. Smoky depth, subtle sweetness, unexpected brightness, all in perfect balance. The spell broke when Eleanor, a fellow patron, asked, "Isn't it marvelous? Chef Carter has created something truly special." Caroline's composure returned instantly. "It's certainly rustic," she pronounced loudly. "Though I suppose one can't expect Luc Bernardin in a place like this. The greens are overcooked, a common mistake in soul food, I'm told. And the meat, while tender, lacks refinement." She trailed off, noting the stricken expression on Eleanor's face. From the corner of her eye, Caroline spotted an older black man in a chef's coat standing perfectly still near the kitchen entrance. Their eyes met briefly. Instead of shame or anger, Caroline saw only a calm assessment in his gaze before he turned and disappeared into the kitchen. By the time Caroline departed, whispers followed in her wake. She told herself she didn't care. Yet, as her driver navigated the streets back to her penthouse, Caroline found herself unusually disquieted. By noon the following day, Caroline's remarks had spread through Millridge like wildfire. Social media amplified her critique, with locals defending their neighborhood chef against the entitled socialite. Caroline scrolled through notifications with mounting irritation. The incident had been picked up by a community blog, complete with unflattering commentary about out-of-touch elites. Her assistant interrupted her brooding. "Miss Whitmore, there's a delivery for you." Inside a simple white bakery box, Caroline found a perfect miniature cornbread souffle, identical to the one she criticized, accompanied by a handwritten note. "Taste without prejudice. Then judge. D.C." The presumption infuriated her. Caroline moved to throw the souffle away, then hesitated. The souffle melted on her tongue, releasing complex layers of flavor: brown butter, honey, a hint of something peppery and unexpected. It was, she grudgingly admitted to herself, extraordinary. Her phone rang. It was Eleanor. "Caroline," Eleanor said, "Chef Carter has proposed something rather unusual. He's invited you to a cooking challenge." The audacity was breathtaking. Caroline's first instinct was to decline. But another thought intruded: the publicity angle. This could transform an embarrassing incident into a charming human interest story. "Very well," Caroline said coolly. "Tell him I accept."